So in this video, we are going to talk about exactly how to stop a dismissive avoidant attachment style from stonewalling by using these really simple steps. So first and foremost, if you are the loved one of a dismissive avoidant, a friend, a family member, a romantic partner, you'll know that the avoidant attachment style tends to really sort of retreat into themselves when they're frustrated. And they may need a lot of space, and they use that space essentially as a form of self-protection. And part of the dismissive avoidance attachment strategy is actually to diminish or minimize their attachment needs in order to feel safer and feel a sense of relief. Now, of course, we know if you've been watching this channel, this comes from having a lot of childhood emotional neglect. And then feeling like the only way to kind of survive or deal with that emotional neglect is to minimize their needs for connection to other people. So, while that worked as a child, it can be something that's obviously really counterproductive as an adult, where we actually have the ability to recreate new types of relationships, to communicate differently, to get our needs met differently. We're not like stuck in our family home and sort of at the mercy of whatever patterns are there. But just like with anything else, there's such a thing as learned helplessness, where we adopt these certain patterns, this specific way of seeing the world. Our subconscious mind provides a sort of filter of reality, and we see the world through our childhood lens of our experiences. And so dismissive avoidance will often reuse these same types of patterns of behaviors. By the way, if you're new to this channel, because I get this question all the time and I don't answer it enough, if you don't know your attachment style and you want to check it out, I have a free attachment style quiz down below, and I'll give you a report with what your attachment style is, information, things you can heal, and it's all for free. So that's down below. So, what do you do if you are the loved one of a dismissive avoidant? Because I know it can be really painful for people, right? If you have the experience of being sort of iced out or pulled away from all of a sudden, especially if you're a more anxious leaning attachment style, it can be really painful and really triggering. And so, here's really the answer. And I'm going to follow this answer up with a couple short and simple steps. But the answer is to call it out. Every time you see stonewalling, call it out, but do it gently and do it respectfully. And that's the key. So you may see, for example, that your loved one, maybe you kind of have like a bit of tension that's happening, a little bit of like, frustration that's taking place. Let's pretend it's your romantic partner and you live together. If you see them starting to stonewall or not want to talk about something or kind of like shut down, let them know, hey, I can see that you're pulling away. I can see that you're stonewalling a bit. Obviously, something's up. And I'm here to talk about it when you're ready to have that conversation. And by gently calling it out that way, first of all, you're making them conscious of their own patterns of behavior. And dismissive avoidance, they tend to be quite logical creatures. So if they consciously see something that they're doing and it's not called out in a way that's shaming or critical, and they can see that what they're doing is logically counterproductive, they start self-analyzing. This is like one place that you can actually get dismissive avoidance to start kind of like down that self-analysis path from. And so if you say, I see something's up, I can see you're a little upset about something maybe, or you're pulling away. If something's on your mind, I'm here to talk about it when you're ready. It puts the ball in their court, but it's going to put them into sort of analyzing things. And, hopefully if there's somebody who wants to grow and there's somebody who wants to take a step forward, actually be willing to discuss it. And once you have that discussion, once that person does have that discussion with you, it's really important that you approach it in a healthy way. And you listen, you validate their feelings. And I want to be really clear here, validating feelings does not equal validating behaviors. Okay. So somebody can stonewall me, for example, and I would gently call it out. And then if they then come back and talk about it, I could say to that person, hey, I totally get why you were shutting down and why it was uncomfortable for you because you were feeling frustrated or nervous or uncomfortable. And I can definitely see where you're coming from. And at the same time, shutting down isn't going to help us long term in our relationship together. Pulling away or stonewalling, it's something that I would prefer we try not to do in the relationship dynamic. I'm sure you probably wouldn't feel great if I did that with you either. I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but I think let's be more intentional about how we operate this way. And so what you're doing is because we know if you've been listening to this channel for a little while, dismissive avoidants do not do well with criticism. So, you don't want to be too critical and, pushing buttons and saying, oh, what a terrible behavior. But you want to be able to call it out, let the person know, ask for something different, set that sort of boundary around it, and make that place for healthy communication. And in doing so, once you've had that discussion once, it's like opening the doors for that discussion to happen more frequently and more easily. So if you see stonewalling again 3 weeks later, you might have that conversation and say, hey, I know we had this thing a few weeks back where we decided we wanted to try to hash things out earlier, talk about things more directly with each other. I feel like we're kind of going through that dynamic again. And again, I'm here when, something's on your mind. Let's hash it out. Let's have a healthy discussion around it. And let's get to the bottom of things. And then again, you can reiterate that boundary. And generally, what will happen is over time, somebody will realize faster and faster that stonewalling doesn't do well. So they'll make negative emotional associations to their own behaviors, which is actually a big part of how behaviors shift and change. And then they'll make positive emotional associations to hashing things out, which is like if you do it in a healthy way, if you get to the bottom of things, if things get resolved, it creates relief, even for the dismissive avoidant. And now they have negative emotional associations to stonewalling, positive emotional associations to working things out. And over time, they don't even want to stonewall. They don't even want to keep themselves in that position. Now, I can't guarantee every single person is going to show up this way, but this is a tactic that I would use for tons and tons of couples in anxious avoidant traps together. Somebody's really anxious, somebody's DA or FA and DA. And I would see the vast, vast majority of the time, these patterns literally resolve themselves because of how our subconscious is programmed through different emotional associations we make to our behaviors. So it goes a really long way. And really, if your partner is willing to grow, that's a DA, or if it's a friend, a family member, a loved one in general, if they're willing to grow and take steps, this is how you're going to see a lot of that healing pick up momentum and a lot of that transformation in the relationship pick up momentum as well. So I hope this gives you some easy steps. If you want to check out a whole communication course for free for 7 days, all about these steps in more detail with a workbook with everything fleshed out, in a lot of, and we go into like what happens if there's an objection and all these different things. You can check it out literally completely for free for 7 days down below using the link. And again, if you want to take that attachment style quiz, see what your attachment style is, where you're at, track your progress through the different percentages, that is also there down below for you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening and for being here. If you're enjoying this channel, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And I can't wait to see you in tomorrow's video.